And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Folks, Revolution is a great game from Steve Jackson Games in which you're trying to start your own revolution, so is everybody else. But you're trying to use force, blackmail, and gold in a secret blind bidding system. And if you haven't checked out my review, go do so. It's This is for people who already have the game and are interested in the Revolution Anarchy 5 to 6 player game expansion. You say, wait a minute, wasn't there already a Revolution Kingdom expansion that was a 5 to 6 player expansion? Yes, and in fact, these are not compatible with each other. So when I heard about this, I was like, really? I'm already happy with the game and expansion. All right, but let's check it out anyway. The first thing the expansion adds are 2 more player colors. So you can have 6 players, unless of course you're already using the first expansion. Then you have 8 different colors to pick from, but you can't do more than 6 players. And the reason for that is here. This is the board. You can see the board for Revolution. And the first expansion added the palace, that palace one here in the middle. You can see how it fits there nicely on the board. Well, this one has the garden, asylum, and jail, which also fit nicely in the middle, and in fact there's no room for anything else. They fit right there. So you're going to have to play with one expansion or the other. Now, the garden, asylum, and jail are 3 more things that will score at the end of the game. In the garden, each cube you have there is worth 10 points. In the asylum, whoever has the most, or in the jail, whoever has the most, they are both going to lose 30 points. This is the board from the original game with the 12 different things that you can pick from. The new board now has 16 different things that you can pick from. Just like there's a board from the first one. This is the board from the first one, also at 16, but they're different. All right, here we have the original 12, and the 12 here, I'm sorry. The 4 new ones are Warden, Heretic, Governor, and Anarchist. Now, the Warden gives you 4 support, and one of the tokens that you put on the Warden, you get back. Normally, when you win something, you lose it. So, let's say I put a force and a coin on him, I might want to keep the force. Then, I can add an opponent's cube to jail. Remember, whoever has the most cubes in jail at the end will lose points. And unlike other sections on the board, if jail's full, you can replace a cube there, hopefully one of yours, with your opponent's. The Heretic gives you 1 force, 1 blackmail, but you have to stick a guy in the asylum. So this is great, it gives you force and a blackmail, but you have to stick one of your own guys in the asylum. So that might not be so bad if someone else has more than you in there, so you have to be careful how many times you use this. The Governor, very powerful person here, influence any open space, add any opponent's cube to any open space. Now that's one of the only ways to get something in the garden, because there is no particular thing that says put someone in the garden. So the Governor is one of the only ways to do that. Although you can also use a spy to replace one influence cube with one of your own. And adding an opponent's cube to any space, you can do whatever you want with that. Maybe shut down a scoring area or stick them in jail or the asylum. And the Anarchist is kind of a wild, gain a reward in any other space. Now this is great. Everybody wants the Anarchist because the Anarchist can do anything. Problem is, everybody else wants the Anarchist, so they're going to be going for that too. And that's essentially the only changes that this expansion adds. Well, this has absolutely, completely replaced the first expansion. I do wish they could be used together. The first one had the guardhouse where you could put a guy in it and protect people, and it had 16 different spaces, something that really kind of opens this game up. With 12, you're constantly stepping on each other's toes. Let's talk about the 5 to 6 player thing first. I'm not fond of this with more than 5 players. 5 is okay, 4 is still best. 5 is kind of tight, and if you're playing 5, you might as well play with what I call the wimpy rules, where when you go on the same space as somebody else, then you don't lose your money. But anyhow, I guess the different colors are cool. Now people can be black or gray if they so desire. But Revolution Anarchy, with just a very simple thing, adding the negative points in there adds a little bit of that take that, ways to go after your opponent, but without really it's not the whole focus of the game, but there's that whole thing in the middle. I need some more force and blackmail. I'll stick a guy in the asylum. I'll stick another guy in the asylum, and then later on I'll switch him with somebody else and get you in the asylum. Those gardens, 10 points a cube. If you get all 6 cubes, at 60 points. Probably not going to happen, but 10 support at the end of the game is a really big deal. And so that just adds some fun. And that Anarchist, which I guess the expansion's named after, the fact that he copies anything, that space is hotly contested all the time until people's like, oh, everyone else is going for it, so I won't. Then the one guy gets it for a coin. I don't know. I mean, I think if you play Revolution, you should have one of the expansions. And honestly, if you have a choice to get one, this is the one you're going to get. I'm not real fond of the fact that they didn't even try to make them compatible, because that's kind of like saying, whoops, first one, here's the second one. I mean, maybe they're saying you can switch them in and out, but we're always going to do this one. The Anarchist space alone is worth it, and then those negative space in the board give something different opposed to everything else that's positive. Just a cool little expansion. If you have Revolution and don't have an expansion, buy it. If you already got the first expansion, get it and replace it with this one. Dice Tower Judgment. Excellent.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.
Shut the door!